So, Lucas, odds on one of your dogs barking in the background while we're recording this.
Well, Oryx has been nice and quiet so far, but the moment I went to press record, I could just hear Cade like...
Yep. So I'll tell you what, folks at home, I'm going to try and edit out any examples of Lucas's dogs barking in the background of his audio. But if you hear one, let us know. And you know what? And here's an incentive. Here's some pics to Lucas's dogs.
Also, you've got to guess, was it Cade or Oryx?
Can you tell the difference then?
I can tell the difference, yeah. Cade's got a higher bark.
Because the only way I can tell the difference between them is, like, Cade's more wriggly. Like, he's like the wriggly sausage dog. Lucas got 2 sausage dogs, and Oryx is just the heavy one. He's dense.
Well, no, he's not. He's the light one now. He's the light and wriggly one, Karl. He's, like, more just lithe and slender than Cade nowadays.
Stop rubbing it in that I can't see your sausage, Lucas. Anyway, let's talk about the Juggernaut. Dazzler is a somewhat obscure Marvel superhero with the uncanny ability to metabolize sound and turn it into light. A power that, on the surface, sounds kind of useless, until you realise that in one comic it was used to stop the Juggernaut.
You can't stop the Juggernaut. Forgive me for trying, bum!
So Lucas, I believe we have covered Alison Blair, aka Dazzler, on an episode of Wiki Weekends on the Fiend channel, yes?
I believe that was still when Wiki Weekends was featured over on the Fat Fiend channel, yes.
It was indeed, yes. But for anyone out there who saw that episode or thinks, hey, I missed that Wiki Weekends format, what are you doing with that? Well, me and Lucas are still making Wiki Weekends just on its own channel, which is why I'm making Fact Fiend videos again to promote that shit. So go check that out.
And I do know one thing about the Juggernaut, because we've also talked about Kane Marco before, and that's that he cannot be stopped.
Literally, yeah. Like, the Juggernaut can become a skeleton, because people don't know how the Juggernaut's powers work. He's not a mutant. He's commonly thought of being a mutant because he fights the X-Men a lot, but no, he's empowered by this demonic gem.
Whosoever possesses the sacred gem shall prepare himself to receive the power of the Crimson Bands of Cyttorak. Read these words and go from this place a human Juggernaut.
Called like the Gem of Cyttorak, which is powered by this demon from another dimension who empowers Kane Marco with the powers of the Juggernaut, which allows him to just subsist and move in any direction that he wants forever without the need to expend his own energy. To the point where he can become a skeleton. That was one comic where just he's a skeleton and the skeleton's still moving because he's the Juggernaut.
And, I mean, people probably also think he's a mutant because pretty sure, like, every time he's been in the movies, they've just been like, he's a mutant, it's easier.
Because that's easier to explain than he's Charles Xavier's brother who found a gem.
Yeah.
Because when you just say, why can you moonwalk through a mountain? Oh, I found a gem. A gem. Yeah, but it's a demon's gem from another dimension. It's like, already, there's like 3 concepts that you're not going to put in a mainstream movie because they're just too awkward to explain. Fuck it, he's a mutant. Or he's Vinnie Jones.
Prisoner must be confined at all times. If he builds any momentum, no object can stop him.
How fascinating. What do they call you?
Juggernaut.
And there's one thing that, like, when you bring up Dazzler, I'm like, how have we had 3 Deadpool movies and there's not been a Dazzler cameo?
And not so much for the first one, because the fact that first Deadpool movie even got made is an achievement in of itself. But for the second and third ones, there were fan castings for obscure Marvel heroes, much in the same way they put like Negasonic Teenage Warhead in. People were saying, oh, put like other obscure, sillier mutants in as cameos. And one of the ones that people wanted was Dazzler. And the person they wanted to play Dazzler for a cameo was Taylor Swift.
Yes, I do remember that now, yeah.
Which I think would have worked. I think that could have, for a cameo, yeah. I don't think Taylor Swift's going to commit to a movie.
Yeah, as long as it was just a silly cameo, like, I don't mind it when that happens, as long as it wasn't, like, you know, Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones getting multiple seats.
It's a new song, you know. Or, you know, in the vein of, like, Marvel movies, where they brought in Harry Styles to play Eros, Thanos' brother, and then he's never... Lucas forgot. Did you forget that Harry Styles is Thanos' brother in Marvel?
Yeah, he's fucking Star Fox.
Yeah, he's Thanos' brother, and they never brought it back. It's like, and Harry Styles can't fucking act.
Your friends are in big trouble. And we know where to find them.
It should have been a cameo. Same as like we wanted Dazzler to be like a cameo by Taylor Swift, because the character sort of looks like Taylor Swift, and the character's backstory, as we'll get into now, is that of they are a pop star in the Marvel Universe. But their powers, just because they sound stupid, doesn't mean they are powerful, because she exists in a medium where creative use of obscure or weird powers is sort of the whole deal. So I mentioned in the intro that her power is metabolizing sound and then turning it into light. And Lucas, do you remember from the Wiki Weekends episode we did on it how powerful this ability actually is?
I believe that she created the light that's as bright as the sun, correct?
Well, that's on the lower end, yes, because her power, turning sound into light, doesn't sound that impressive until you realise what she's really doing is converting one form of energy into another. And according to the comics, there is no known limit to the amount of sound energy she can absorb and then metabolize into light, meaning she theoretically has infinite power.
Hey, Side, loosen up. How about that Dazzler, huh? Didn't I tell you she's something?
And on the higher end of the things that she's done are absorbing the sound of a collapsing star. Because you must have heard that, right, Lucas? Of like, if sound could travel through space, everyone on Earth would be death, because the sound of the sun, which is just a constant nuclear reaction, it's basically just a billion explosions per second happening forever.
Man, they're so screwed in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. and they say that, like, Dazzler in one comic absorbs the sound of a collapsing star or a black hole.
Jesus Christ.
She's also, as well, stood toe-to-toe with Black Bolt, who has appeared in some Marvel projects, though none of them good. And I do include Multiverse of Madness in that, because his cameo's not great.
I mean, I love the idea of Scarlet Witch just, like, sealing his mouth up, and that's how he meets his end. But the fact that, the smartest man on Earth decides to immediately give his power and weakness away?
Wanda, Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
No, that cameo doesn't exactly get across how powerful Black Bolt is. So in the comics, with a whisper, he can destroy a planet. I know they say in the movie, like, oh, we can end you with just a whisper. But the power, as powerful as that character is, just looks really lame. Like when he just looks at Doctor Strange, like, I'm sorry. Do.
I'm sorry.
Do you know my favourite bit about that scene as well? Is that Doctor Strange is the only one who's tired. And clearly they didn't intend this. This is one of the things where it was unintentional. But Doctor Strange is the only one wearing an outfit that's dirty, because clearly all the other actors just filmed on a green screen the same day they did their cameos. But it makes it look like Doctor Strange did all the work, and then just the Illuminati turned up and killed him. Because they're still wearing, like, fresh, clean outfits that aren't dirty. And obviously, that's not what happened. They talk about it being a big fight, but because clearly the actors, as I said, came in on that one day and filmed their cameos all at the same time against a green screen, they didn't have time to dirty up their outfit, so it just looks like Doctor Strange killed Thanos on his own, and the Illuminati killed him.
Because obviously that's what their little statue says, right? Who was the hero that stopped Thanos? But then they reveal, like, no, he didn't save Thanos, it was all of us, but we just murdered him and made him a martyr.
But if you go back and watch that scene, you'll notice that, as I said, none of the other actors in that scene have clothes that are dirty.
That's so funny.
As would happen after, like, a cataclysmic battle with Thanos. Because the actors just film their cameos against the green screen. It just makes it look like Doctor Strange did it on his own. It's like,
they all just stood in the background like, yeah, man.
Do you like Shaun of the Dead? Where just Shaun kills a zombie on his own. It's like, feel free to step in anytime. And it's like, we thought you were doing alright. That's what happened with Doctor Strange. Like, he must have been on his knees of like, why the fuck were you? Like, just kill him. Just kill him. Don't let him don't let him tell everybody that we didn't help. We bitched out immediately.
Feel free to step in any time.
Did all right?
Didn't want to cramp your style.
Why? I'm so sorry about that.
But yes, like, the idea that you could technically... You know in X-Men 97, where Bishop's like, Cyclops, just unleash hell onto me, and then I'll convert it?
Yes.
Like, you could do the exact same combo with Black Bolt, just stood behind Dazzler constantly.
Yes. And the reason why I was, like, just talking about how bad, like, he is in the live-action projects is because they don't really get across how powerful Black Bolt is. Like, Black Bolt is up there. Like, a whisper can destroy a planet. And they say if he screams, he has the potential to destroy the universe. And he screams at Dazzler, and she just absorbs it. Because the other side effect of her power is that she's wholly immune to sound. It cannot hurt her. Like, she can still hear, but, like, you know, the sound of a collapsing star or Black Bolt screaming, which would immediately just cause any organic life to just be obliterated. And anything thousands of miles away would go deaf. She's like, oh, that's fine. Laser beam. Pew.
The Uno reverse card on Black Bolt. Oh no.
It's like... Imagine just him doing that, and Dazzler's like, "Thank you," and then just does like she'd just be in the final flash position, right? Like he does the scream, and like the world's been obliterated, and they're like, "No," just the smoke comes down, and it's just Dazzler doing final flash. It's like, "Oh no!" Oh yes, like so she does have an incredible amount of power. However, the character doesn't normally fight, and instead uses her powers to become one of the most popular pop stars on Earth in the Marvel Universe, because she's essentially her own light show. Which is what a gimmick, right? Like, who wouldn't want to go see a singer where, while they're singing, they just explode in like a rainbow of party energy? You'd like to go see Prince. Yeah.
It's just incredible, like, what a cool gimmick to go and become a pop star with.
Yeah. And, like, just the fact as well she's her own light show is incredible. And within the Marvel Universe, Dazzler boasts many fans, including superheroes and some supervillains. And the Marvel characters who are confirmed to be fans of Dazzler include, but are not limited to, and it says here, Colossus, the Rhino, and even the mutant shapeshifter Mystique, who will, on occasion, use Dazzler as one of her go-to disguises. However, she will deny that she is a fan of Dazzler when outright asked about it, which means that you know Dazzler must play the kind of like bubblegum pop everybody knows he's great but refuses to admit slaps.
Definitely just Dazzler has like a Taylor Swift-esque song like Shake It Off where everyone loves it but some people are afraid to admit it.
Yeah, especially someone like Mystique, who her whole gimmick is the mystique around her. She can't be caught listening to just like Call Me Maybe or something like that. It's like Wong in Doctor Strange, isn't it? Where he's just listening to Beyonce. Because Wong can own it. Wong's got confidence. Mystique would not be caught dead listening to Beyonce, however much her songs slap. And let's take a brief detour now, Lucas, because Dazzler's powers essentially are weaponizing music. And the fact she's not appeared in live action is kind of disappointing, given that it's the perfect opportunity for a montage. So, let's just, like, play a game now. And if Dazzler ever appeared in live action, what song would you want to play as she kicks ass?
I mean, part of me was thinking in my head, I was like, man, just why does Dazzler not have, specifically on keyboard in the back, you can imagine that Jubilee would be a keyboard player, right?
Oh,
just
with that outfit on, with the big glasses on.
With that outfit, just in the background, just playing like keyboard on one hand, and then just sending out fireworks with the other one. And you could have, although, they're not in the best favour at the moment, you could have Katy Perry's Firework playing.
Oh, that'd be a good one, right? And I guess it is going to be minor spoilers for, like, Deadpool Wolverine. Bye, bye, bye. Because that was so. Like, we don't say anymore, but they play the song "Bye Bye Bye," and that's the thing. I want that level of bubblegum pop playing as Dazzler does her fight scene. Like I said, it's got to be like "Call Me Maybe" or "Shake It Off" or something like that, or something like written to evoke the feelings of those kind of songs.
Just hit me with the truth.
Yeah, totally, and like I'm really surprised because Deadpool would be the perfect movie to do it in, right? Because it is that, like, you could have that kind of more meta humor. You can have an excuse to just fuck it, we've got Dazzler, we're cut into a concert scene for a minute.
Or you could have like like I can even see the scene in my head of just like Deadpool just turning around a giant speaker and pointing at Dazzler.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh wait, hang on, stop, Dazzler, do a music scene for us.
Yeah. You could even just turn. You can see the scene in your head, can't you? Just Deadpool turns to the camera and says, "Oh, now it's time for the montage," and just plays the music, right? But yeah, let us know, folks at home, like what song would you want to play during a Dazzler fight scene if she ever appeared in a live-action movie? But we'll get back to the topic at hand now, Luke, and talk about the Juggernaut, because the Juggernaut is also a fan of Dazzler's music. And I'm just thinking now as well. Joey's got that big light helmet on. Do you think he's got headphones under there?
Oh, he could, right?
You'd have to. Like, what else are you gonna do?
The only real reason that Juggernaut's got that helmet is similar to Magneto, where it like stops any psychic attacks coming in, and he can just keep running. And there's no reason why he couldn't like put some headphones in there. He's got some running music to go along with it.
Well, that's the thing as well. Like, his power is basically just weaponized jogging.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who can jog without music. Those people are animals.
You've learned nothing. You never will. Activate Logan's Run X-13.
Is that those like that viral tweet that goes around every now and again of like, I just got on a plane and a guy got on with a black coffee and just sat and stared at the back of the seat in front of him for 5 hours straight.
Raw dog that flight.
Just raw dog the entire flight. And it's like, I've never been scared of someone's power more. And one of the things that always cracks me up about the Juggernaut is I know that he's Charles's brother or half-brother. I forget their exact relationship in the comics, but it's always cracked me up that the Juggernaut, the 11 feet tall, 800-pound man, has a beef with a guy in a wheelchair. I've always just found that really funny that he has a beef with a guy in a wheelchair.
And then, you know, there's the one thing that can stop him is psychic attacks, and he has that helmet as well. It's like an absolute fuck you to Professor
It's like
X.
a 10-0 matchup, right? It's guy whose power is never stopping running versus a guy whose legs don't work. It's so rough, right? But anyway.
Charles, aren't you gonna welcome me home?
The Juggernaut is reportedly a massive fan of Dazzler, to the point where he refuses to fight her, which is kind of a problem, because the Juggernaut is often an enemy of the X-Men, who Dazzler likes to help out. And this all comes to a head in Uncanny X-Men Volume 217, where Dazzler, in full costume, is pursuing the Juggernaut and accidentally crashes into him. Because she just crashes into him. She's like, wow, doing a to be fair, I guess Dazzler is probably the worst person you'd pick for covert ops, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only is her power metabolizing sound, which doesn't exactly scream sneaky to me, especially when the sound causes her to explode in a cloud of light, also she's the most famous pop star on Earth.
Right.
Hey, we need to track down the Juggernaut. It'd be like saying, hey, we need to follow this person around, send Taylor Swift to tail them.
Do you know when, like, they have those videos where people are... Taylor Swift is definitely getting brought inside those, like, giant black boxes and getting snuck onto the stage via those? Can you imagine that black box is just exploding with light?
So I wonder who could be inside that. Oh man, well, I guess we can't not mention Taylor Swift without mentioning one of my favourite images, which is just that one of like, just leaked some footage of Taylor Swift getting a private plane. It's like the plane inside of a plane. Oh, yeah. It's like, here's Taylor Swift going to the bathroom in a private plane, and she's taking a plane from one end to the other. Oh god, does Taylor Swift just drive? Just fucking drive.
No, she's more important than the planet, Karl. Fuck you.
She could literally hire 4,000 Ubers. Do you know what I don't get as well? Why are celebrities doing what like Rockefeller and that used to do like 100 years ago, where they just get their own train? Why is there any celebrity out there who's like, fuck it, I'm going to go old school, I'm just going to buy my own train? Do that.
Yeah, because you think about how big some of the tour logistics are at that point where they're like, oh, we've got a salvo of 20 different coaches. It's like, at that point, that is a train.
To be fair, I fully expect at one point just Taylor Swift's going to create the Shield helicarrier. I was reckoning she's going to end up like just flying around that with Beyonce or something. But in this comic, Dazzler crashes into the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut's kind of pissed. And he's going to beat the fuck out of the person who just crashed into him on their motorcycle with his engine block-sized fist until he realises that it's Dazzler. And he's like, oh, sorry, I don't want to fight. But Dazzler's pursuing him, so she starts a fight. The Juggernaut doesn't really take it all that seriously because he doesn't want to hurt his favourite pop star. And they have, like, you know, just a fight with the Juggernaut not really taking it that seriously.
Right, yeah, because the Juggernaut can just, like, punch you into pieces.
Yes, and I find this quite amusing because it means that Dazzler holds the dubious honour of being one of the few people in the Marvel Universe to stop the Juggernaut dead in his tracks. And she did so purely through the power of bangers. Because if people don't know how Juggernaut's powers work, essentially, once he begins moving in any given direction, no force in the universe can stop him, only slow him down. The only thing that can make the Juggernaut stop is if he chooses to stop moving.
And that is literally to the point of you can, like, throw him into space and he'll keep going.
Like, I think that's the only way the Hulk stops him. So I think, what about a super strong character like the Hulk? Well, the Hulk fights Juggernaut. I think it's in World War Hulk, and Hulk just throws him into space.
He just keeps going.
He just keeps going, yeah.
But can you imagine, though, how much of a combo that would be if you had Juggernaut and Dazzler team up? Because just tell Juggernaut, put some blinders on, put a blindfold on, mate, and run. And then you've got Dazzler. Dazzler can, like, sit on his shoulder, right? He's a big dude. She can just blind everything in front, and then all you know is that you've been blinded, and then a Juggernaut runs through you.
I thought you were going to say, tell Juggernaut that there's, like, Dazzler tickets on sale. Make him run. He just runs really fast to try. When they have, like, they get Taylor Swift tickets go up for sale, and, like, people are scalping them for, like, $8,000. Just tell him, yeah, there's a scalper trying to, like, rip people off and selling Dazzler tickets. He's over there.
I was going to say, because nowadays the joke wouldn't work because they'd all be on, like, pre-sale on Taylor Swift's app for $500 a piece.
And then, like, Professor X would buy him all. Like, the thing is, though, if Professor X really wanted to hurt the Juggernaut, what he'd do is use his psychic powers to make everyone on Earth buy all the Dazzler tickets at the same time, so Juggernaut could never see the show. Anyway.
The truest way to hurt the Juggernaut.
It reminds me of, like, there's that thing like Dickhead Superman. This is at least a decade old now. It's like a Twitter account called Dickhead Superman, and the one that lives in my head rent free is just a tweet that says, Lex Luthor's not bald, I just fly into his house every night and shave his head at super speed. Anyway, during this fight, Dazzler lets off a super powerful blast of light, which doesn't hurt the Juggernaut but does daze him for a few seconds. And then when he gets his sight back, he thinks that Dazzler has been killed, because she's left in a catatonic state from the amount of force she had to exert. And he gets so upset that he buries her in a shallow grave and just lets out like a single manly tear and runs away.
Oh.
And it turns out that Dazzler's not dead, and the X-Men have to dig her back up, and then she has to go chase the Juggernaut. And he's very scared because he thinks he's been chased by a ghost.
Fucking zombie Dazzler's after him.
So thank you to everyone for watching, and especially thank you to you, Lucas, for joining me for this episode. So as mentioned right at the start, we've done Wiki Weekends episodes on both the Juggernaut and Dazzler. However, we will be continuing to make Wiki Weekends episodes on a variety of characters over on the Wiki Weekends channel. So if anyone out there, enjoyed that format and wants to see us talk about more superheroes, like not the Juggernauts, we already did that, but there's plenty of other superheroes in Marvel canon we've yet to discuss. And I guess, Lucas, to wet people's whistle for potential future Wiki Weekends episodes, are there any characters you are tempted to talk about that we haven't done so yet?
There is actually one X-Men related character that I've had on the list for a while because they reared their face in X-Men 97 and I wanted to know more, and that is Roberto DaCosta, aka Sunspot.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know how Sunspot's powers work, and I'd be curious to find out.
Yeah, I have no idea, but the idea that he is literally like a person that's a living sun, I'm like, how does that work? How do these powers not just blow people up?
Like he's a living nuclear explosion. What the hell's going on there? And I guess one for me that I've wanted to cover for a while, because they are one of my favourite Marvel villains, and they're quite similar to the Juggernaut in many ways, is Rhino. Because I just like the idea that he's just a man in a rhino costume. And do you think Rhino gets jealous of the Juggernaut Because like his whole thing is like charging forward like a rhino, and he's kind of strong. But then the Juggernaut's power is he literally never stops. And do you think he got mad when the Juggernaut's powers were given to Colossus instead of him? He must have done, right? He must have got so mad when Colossus became the Juggernaut for a little bit. It's like, my whole deal is running in a straight line.
Just Paul Giamatti cursing at the sun, like, no, how dare you?
Then he realises actually Sunspot coming out and whoop his ass. He's like, no! Oh, this though. Because the Juggernaut's appeared in quite a few bits of like Marvel media. I guess most people probably are screaming about Deadpool 2, which I don't mind his appearance in that. I do like that they made the Juggernaut really big. Because I hate Vinnie Jones' Juggernaut, because he's just a guy.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, Vinnie Jones is a relatively big guy, but like he's just a dude. He's not like this mass intimidating figure that like in Deadpool 2 where he's like, oh, you can literally just rip me in half, can't you? He's like, yeah.
Yep. And then he does. And that's one of the things I like about the Juggernaut. He's just so ridiculously big. And I didn't think they'd be able to translate that to live action, because the one time they tried, it looked stupid. And for Deadpool, they actually pulled it off. And the fact that, like, you know, just Colossus looked tiny compared to the Juggernaut. And it just reminds me of like every time they've ever put the Juggernaut into like one of those like Marvel fighting games, it's always so fucking funny, because the Juggernaut they have to make his character model crouch all the way down, and he's still like, you know, to the top of the screen.
That's why I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because they had things like Juggernaut and the Sentinels just didn't give a crap. Just let's go.
It's like, fuck it, we're going to make... One of the things is, one of those earlier Marvel vs. Capcom games, you could have the same character 3 times, and I always remember just picking 3 Juggernauts. Because imagine how much that must suck, right? It's like, okay, so Ryu, Ken, Captain America. Who are we fighting? 3 Juggernauts. So what? 3 Juggernauts. It's Juggernaut with Juggernaut, backed up by Juggernaut. It's like, we didn't know that was an option. Why the 3 Juggernauts?
Captain America's like, I need a bigger shield, please help.
It's like, why are the 3 Juggernauts? It's just the idea, oh, you can have like 3 Thanoses. It's like, that's not fair. Fucking Captain Commando just looking like, okay, I'm good. I can't fight 3 Thanoses, though.
No, don't worry, Captain Commando's got this, Karl.
The Captain Corridor will stop it, because Juggernaut's terrible in those games. And I do like there's those things like X-Men Mutant Academy games, where the Juggernaut's in there, and he's so fucking massive. But it's really funny, because you can make him fight like Nightcrawler and Cause like, Nightcrawler's pretty good. What's he gonna do against a fucking Juggernaut, though?
I mean, that's an interesting kind of battle, though, not necessarily in that game, but just a character that could annihilate Nightcrawler in literally one hit, but can you ever touch him?
Can you hit him, yeah. And yeah, that's I like him in those games. And I guess we can't not mention the fact that Professor X is in one of those like X-Men fighting games, and he has the most legendary fighting game combo in existence, which is just the Wheelchair Avenger.
Literally just rushes people down with the wheelchair like tornado spin.
Do you know what? When's that happening? That should have been in the Deadpool movie.